Well, good evening. We're glad to have you with us and ask you to please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, item 1.3 is approval of the agenda. Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Chair votes aye. The agenda is approved. Item 1.4 is input from the public. This is a period devoted to comments by the general public, if any, and discussion of those comments. In the interest of privacy and due process, the public is requested to not raise personnel issues except in a legally noticed closed session of the board. No action may be taken upon a matter raised. I have one request from Hadley Norn.
Okay, and Sandy Bromstetter, so.
Well, it's a 2-in-1.
We'll take you both. Come on up.
Yeah, and then I have another one.
Okay.
So she's gonna talk.
Okay, so we're representing the Elko County STEM Fair, and we would like to give you all an invitation to join us at our awards ceremony on Thursday evening at the Convention Center at 5:30. And to come by if you want and see any of the projects. They're going strong. Judges are doing good, and so anyway, we just wanted to come by and thank you for all of your support. Elko County School District, we wouldn't be able to do it without you, and thank you very much. And come by and to our awards.
We have 454.
Yeah, about 454 projects. And this is last year's presentation from last year. So after we get this year's, we'll present that one next year.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Any projects on coronavirus?
I don't think there's been enough time or studying or evidence yet, so we'll develop a vaccination next year for it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow at Thursday.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so Hadley Norn, Clayton Temple. We were here in December and did a presentation for you.
Still not yet, huh?
Kind of stems from, I work for the Governor's Council for matters relating to Holocaust education. So I'm obviously looking towards retirement in the next few years, so I am training Clayton to take over for me when I leave because we feel that it's an important thing to keep in education. A couple of things that we do is the SAG, Students Against Genocide. Those were the kids. We also do, well, Clayton does them all, so even though, whatever. We do an 8-month book club down at the public library, part of their summer reading that extends to November. We also have, I built a Holocaust collection down at the public library, so those are some community things. And then in the fall and in the spring, I also offer a Holocaust education class to your teachers. So, I don't know, I probably offered 300 or 400, given away that many credits over the last 10 years. So, in our letter in December, we asked if you would think about approving a couple of school-related trips. One of them was because I work for the Governor's Council, they sponsor an educational dinner that's sponsored by the Governor's Council and the Atlantis Hotel, but it's an overnight because it's a dinner in Reno. We've done it in the past. It's been approved. Jeff approved it for me a couple of years, so that's one thing that's coming up. And then the other thing that we like to do with the kids is to take them across state lines to the Wendover Historic Airfield, because that's huge World War II history in our own backyard. So if you guys would talk about that, think about that, and maybe let us know before spring break so we can start making plans if it's approved. I wrote down Travis Monette, who's our principal, his email, my email, and Clayton's email. So if you would think about that and let us know. If you have any questions, you can contact us. Okay?
What's the ages of the kids that are being tracked?
They're Flagview, they're 5th and 6th graders.
5th and 6th grade.
Okay. All we would need would be a bus. The dinner's paid for by the Governor's Council. The hotel rooms are donated by John Farahi, who owns the Atlantis Hotel. The kids are responsible for buying their breakfast at McDonald's. Then we go and take a tour of a synagogue with the chairperson, the lady I work for, Judith Schumer. She was here a year ago, November, doing some presentations. She did one at Flagview, Adobe, Elko High School, and a community one. So we go to her synagogue, and then we go to In-N-Out Burger and come home. So it's a great experience for the kids. They love it. So, okay. Any other questions? Same thing for Wendover. Everything, kids bring a sack lunch. And Lisa Dunn, who used to run Casino Express, is now running that airport. So she does the tour for us for free. So it would just be a bus. And that's just a day trip. Any other questions?
I've been to that museum, it's awesome. My kids loved it.
It's amazing, isn't
It
it?
is. It is.
The world should go see it. History in our own backyard.
Yeah, right in Wendover.
Absolutely.
I didn't know it was there.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
All right, is there any other public comment? Right. Item number 1.5 is a presentation from Hawaii Combined Schools.
That whole airport scene?
I just sit down there.
You may sit or stand.
Well, I want to first say, members of the board, thank you for this opportunity for giving us the proposed 4-day week. I'm one of the parents, and I was asked to present this to the board. So on I think it was 78% of the people that were for this 4-day week. I'm the only one who showed up. But I do have my support, the staff, the principal, the individuals who gathered this information, the data that is here that I will present to you for this proposed 4-day week. And thank you. And if you have any questions, if I can answer them, if you can please direct them to.
I got one. Can you just tell us who you are?
Okay. And my name is Russell Abel. I'm a father. I have 3 kids that do attend Hawaii High School, Hawaii Combined School. All 3 of them have made honor roll, and I am for this. I am an employee of the Elko County School District, bus driver, maintenance, and custodian. So there you go.
Don't forget us, Russell. We're here too at the school.
So this is the proposed, you can read along, cut me off if you have to answer any questions, feel free. This is the proposed 4-day week at Hawaii Combined School. Why a 4-day week at Hawaii Combined School? 90% of the community wants it. Better attendance, better teacher recruitment opportunity, benefit for the community to have appointments, which is usually 90 miles away during a work week. Schools within Elko County District that are a 4-day week. We have Jackpot Combined, Carlin, Wells, and West Wendover. The data says 80% of the school-related activities fall on Friday or weekend. Absence of students last year on a Friday is greater than 10%. High school 31%, junior high 20%, elementary 13%. Absence of teachers on Fridays for coaching and appointments. Savings for having a 4-day week versus 5-day week. Electricity, propane, bus maintenance hours. The proposed schedule will adopt Wells schedule. First bell, 8 a.m. homeroom breakfast, 8 to 8:30. First block, 8:35 to 10:10. Second block, 10:15 to 11:15. Lunch, 11:50, 12:25. Third block, 12:30 to 2:05. And fourth block, 2:10 to 2:45. And teachers leave at 4:15. Survey says students were asked about the 4-day week. Response was 104 students, 65% yes, 50% no, 20% undecided.
Kaden said he didn't.
Approximately 300. That's pre-K through 12.
High school, middle school, elementary is out of the...
7 through 12.
Okay.
Thank you.
7 through 12,
The survey also says parents, families surveyed, 78, 64 yes, and 82 or 64% yes, and I guess that's.
There's 64 out of 78 were in favor for an 82%.
Thank you. Survey also says teacher staff surveyed 36% and 88%. Research regarding schools and the comparable situation for students. We have the lower operating costs, improved attendance for staff and students, reduce student discipline problems, increase student participation in extracurricular activities. Research regarding schools in a comparable situation to OCS. Gra and Shaughnessy and a study of New Mexico school districts with a 4-day week concluded that the academic performance of students on standardized achievements tests were comparable to the state averages and that the schools had a collective dropout rate of only 3.3% compared to 8.1% for the rest of the state. Research regarding schools in a comparable situation to OCS. Experts have documented increased attendance, improved morale, and fewer disciplinary problems in 4-day schools. Shoemaker, 2002. Research regarding schools in a comparable situation to OCS. Schools can provide meals on the days they are closed. The federal school lunch program allows it. Reduced cost of substitute teachers and more time for teachers to plan lessons.
Is that
Right now, we're lacking
enhanced
subs big time.
where you were at up on the reservation, the federal lunch program?
I believe so.
That's not done with the,
That was from the research that we got from other states and other schools.
Yep.
And that was one of the concerns their parents had and our parents had. And so we looked into that specifically, and they said there is a federal lunch program. And right now, we're on a free lunch program for all of our students now.
okay.
Research regarding schools in a comparable situation to OCS. Focus on instruction to a much higher degree. Teachers reported more wasted time in a 5-day week. The 4-day schedule adds one more elective to the secondary schedule. Research regarding schools in comparable situation to OCS as credit recovery option. Used Friday as mandatory 3-hour academic session for students with failing grades in Midland High School. Reduced disciplinary infractions. Research regarding schools in a comparable situation to OCS reported that 2003 reported that at Maryville High School in Maryville, Louisiana, the ag scores rose from an average of 18.7 to 20. Research regarding schools in a comparable situation to OCS in Colorado. 27 J schools, junior high schools attracted of, I guess that's junior high, right? Yes. Schools attracted of applicants 100 more than when in 4-day week. Even though it's harder vacancies like special education and secondary math, the district's teacher turnover rate also declined from 21% last year to 13% this year. In conclusion, community and school support, increase in productive teaching time, increase in attendance, increase in teacher recruitment and retention. All Elko County School District rural schools on similar schedule. And that concludes it.
I know from being at the last school board meeting up in Hawaii that your community has a lot of enhancement programs for students after school, even on weekends and summer programs. Would you be able to better implement some of those programs if there was a Friday to be able to do some of those?
I think so.
I do. Our after-hours program now goes till 5:30 at night, and if we could do that at a different time.
Do you think there'd be a commitment then as a community to make sure that there's activities like that on a Friday?
Yeah.
Especially for the elementary level?
Yes.
At the
With our
school or
20%
somewhere else in
grant.
the community gym?
That's what I was
Yes,
talking.
and I believe that
Especially with veterans.
there are like travel activities, trail programs that do take place on those Fridays that make it available for the students.
Russ, have we talked to the tribal council about this at all, or do you?
Just
curious. Not as good. Okay.
We have some council members that signed off on it.
Yeah.
No jurisdiction.
That we communicate with them.
Yeah, some of the council members signed it. Hello.
Looks like you have an awful lot of information that you've gathered, and you've made your case. Thank you for that.
Hello.
This is not an agendized item, or non-action item right now. And, you know, so if we were to go forward
Hello.
with this, we've already run into this with Spring Creek, that there isn't enough time to get calendars put in for this year, so it will be a following year
That, they understood
implementation.
that. Yeah,
Okay,
they understood
so you guys
that.
are
Yep.
aware of that. So would this come back then?
As a formal.
Okay. All right, thank you.
But I was wondering if we were following the Wells schedule, if there was a way we could do it this year if you approved it?
There is no, we don't have the time
Okay.
to set it up. And the state has to know by like April 1, I think, is the deadline. And I know it sounds like a long time, but there's lots to get done as far as our student information system. And I'm speaking from information because I already asked our student information guy about it, and he said there's no way we can do this for next year. So
So it's not,
Sorry.
it didn't go. It's done. We waited too long, so now they gotta wait for another
So
year.
you come back, obviously, and after you talk to the tribal council, because that's.
Well, it seems like we're putting athletics over academics. You know, I mean, what is better, more or less? You know, repetition, especially with young children, is, you know, is how they're gonna learn. You know, if they're not learning, if they're not keeping up on this, we're gonna be left behind.
Receipt review and possible acceptance.
And I don't think, you know, in 20 years, what are we gonna look at with our kids?
Yeah, I know.
So I don't think that is a good thing.
Case is here to answer any questions.
Especially if you're putting academic, or you're putting athletics over academics.
So in looking through the plan, the 5-year plan, how much that was budgeted for this project has already been spent? I guess what I'm looking at is how much over budget are we on this project?
I don't know exactly how much over budget. We've spent about $50,000 in design right now.
So they moved on to the next.
Looks like they did.
So is the point of expanding the existing kitchen, is the point there because it's going to be cheaper to do it with?
With the contractor already being on board, yeah. And I don't know if you've been to that kitchen. My kitchen at home is larger. I'm not kidding either. It is a very small kitchen.
Okay, but and for right now, even with the addition of the expansion of the kitchen, are we still within budget?
Not with the proposed budget on that, was our cost estimate, I should say, from a couple of years ago, but we're still within our forecast of the pay-as-you-go. We're able to afford it.
Okay, because what I see here, maybe I'm looking at it, because what I see here was between last year and this year is an $800,000 budget. Am I not reading this properly?
Yeah, that is correct. So we're within budget. I didn't have that in front of me. I haven't looked at that in a while.
Okay, that was the questions I have there.
Why is on this action item to pull that bid for the Performing Arts building?
To pull the bid?
So we're still on item 2.1. So hold on.
So 2.1?
Yeah, we're on 2.1, we're on the Carlin.
But there's
The contractor pulled the bid. We didn't. That's why we only have one bid for the Performing Arts.
the letter, it says the undersigned authorized representative of the Elton County School District hereby recommends the Board of Trustees take the following action for the Elkwood Performing Arts building to accept withdrawal of bid from Engineered Structures.
That's on the next item.
I think that just got attached to the wrong item.
Yeah, that's in the wrong spot.
So let's.
That should be for the Performing Arts.
Okay, I just wondered why it was attached to this.
Yeah, wrong spot.
Okay.
Attached, so we'll discuss that in item 2.2.
Okay.
Any other questions, or how would the board like to proceed on item 2.1, the bid for the Carlin ADA upgrade phase 2?
I move that the board accept the best bid for the Carlin ADA upgrade Phase 2 submitted by Great Basin Engineering Contractors LLC, including alternate number 1, and conditionally award the contract to that bidder subject to the timely submission to the district's legal counsel of all documents required by the instructions to bidders, including 1, the signed contract, 2, proof of required insurance, 3, issued performance bond, 4, issued payment bond, and 5, completed project apprenticeship report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and that item is approved. Item number 2.2 is receipt, review, and possible award of the bid for the Elko High School Performing Arts Project.
Let me just clarify this one right up front. We received 2 bids, one from MGM and then one from ESI. ESI was low by about $2 million, but then they realized they forgot to put a roof on the building and forgot a few other things, so they've requested to pull their bid. So that's what that letter's in there for.
All right, any discussion from, questions from the board?
This one appears to be quite over budget, isn't it?
By the time we put in our capital improvement plan for $12 million, we were anticipating a lot of endowment funding and grant funding, which hasn't come through to the level we thought.
So, can you explain what the select millwork is?
It's the cabinetry where they store their instruments. We thought we could possibly purchase it on our own and install it ourselves cheaper than them, but with these numbers that they came through with, we can't do it cheaper than that.
So my question then would be, because this project then would be like somewhere like 40% over budget. Where is that extra money going to come from?
It's in the pay-as-you-go balance. I mean, we're going to have to push off some other projects potentially.
That's my concern. So what other projects will you be pushing on?
We pushed back the junior senior remodel to next year. We've also pushed back the Northside Gym 1 year.
And the junior and senior building essentially will be vacated or not necessarily?
No, it'll still be used all next year. Yeah. In fact, I'll just give them a surplus of rooms for this year.
Am I correct in saying Northside has not had a gym basically ever?
Ever.
Right, they just have a multi-purpose room.
Yep.
And so that would be something that would be really, really helpful to that school to have their gym sooner rather than later, correct?
So can you explain why it's so much over budget? I mean, is it just because the cost of building has gone up?
No, we budgeted $12 million for pay-as-you-go money to pay for this, but we were anticipating at the time 2 years ago, without having any data, several more millions coming in from outside resources.
Oh, I see. So you didn't necessarily anticipate it coming in?
That's about the cost we anticipated coming in, but we just thought we'd have other funds coming in.
Well, yeah, but now that is, $4.5 million over.
It is.
So is there a possibility that this could come in if we push this project back at a later date?
It looks like the funds now are more, they'll pay for like lighting. We're in the process of applying for those grants right now, so you're looking at maybe, $150,000 for those funds. Is what we anticipate. We're in the process of applying for those grants now.
So is there any possibility to do it in cases where, I know back in my hometown when they put in a similar center, they didn't put any chairs in there. They had the metal chairs previously for concerts and used those, and then the next phase was chairs.
I don't see how you're going to, chairs are a few $100,000 of the whole scope of things. I mean, it's the structure, the actual physical structure is like eating up most of the costs. We can't phase that in.
Any other thoughts or questions from the board? I will just say, I think this is a great idea, but I feel like this is more of a want than a need at Elko High School, and where we have other schools in the district that have needs rather than just wants. I think this is fabulous, and I would love to see it happen, but I think we could hold off on this one until maybe we have some more grant money or whatever to match those initial ideas, and then move forward at a future date.
I would just like to counter that. I mean, how long has Elko High School gone without any sort of auditorium, music?
I believe the one burnt down in the early 70s, late 60s.
70s, somewhere in there. So, I mean, this project has been on the capital improvements plan
40 years.
At least 40 years. And, Elko High School is in a position where we are never going to be able to build a new high school in Elko. We cannot afford it. All we can do is continue to expand and make do with what we have. If we delay this cost is only going to go up. And I think long term, to make that school work, the population of Elko is only going to continue to grow. The band, the choraleers, they're extremely active at that school. They're important extracurriculars. We fund a lot of money into athletics. And we've asked the performing arts to kind of do without for the last 40 years. So I think it's important that we start moving forward on this and not delay it any longer. I get the cost is astronomical, but it's going to be worse 4 years down the road.
Actually putting off accepting this bid and then rebidding it. All we've seen, looking at the projects that we've had, it continues to get higher, higher, and higher. One other thing, that with the science building, we're adding capacity. With this particular building, it's not just the auditorium that we're looking at. We're putting classrooms in there. We're having areas for the band to practice where they're currently in the back of the old gym. The drama has that, the choraleers, the orchestra. Looking at just the enrollment numbers, rolling them up from the 6th grade, 5th and 6th grade, rolling them up. It's going to be, we're building the capacity at the Elko High School with this. So I definitely encourage the board to go with the bid that we currently have, get this going. And, you know, it has been on the docket for forever. And that gym, or the auditorium burned down, I think, in 1972 or 1973. So it's been a long time waiting.
You know, we're not pushing it, as I understood it, we're not pushing off anything that's critical. By pushing this out, the other projects that are in line.
The Northside Gym, that's not really a critical project.
Right. Okay.
We're still moving forward with our one mechanical project every year, one ADA project every year.
I would say you could have the same argument for the north side students saying, well, we haven't had a gym, and that's, you know, something.
My kid attends Northside, and they're making do.
And well, so is the high school, so I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, but the high schools had to do without much longer, I would say. I mean, I went to Northside when it had an even smaller area in there. So, and it didn't have a library, and it has a library now, so.
If this pay-as-you-go gets voted down, that's going to change everything anyway.
We'll have another opportunity at pay-as-you-go in 2 years.
2 years, but it's on the ballot. If it doesn't pass, everything's going to get moved down, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hinges on that election.
Everything hinges on that election.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I move that the base bid and alternate number 1 for the Elko High School Performing Arts Project be accepted, and the contract awarded to MGM Construction effectively upon delivery of the district of the signed contract and all documents required by contract and law, including proof of the required assurance of performance and payment bonds.
Motion, do we have a second? I think we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to make another comment. You know, Elko High School is being expanded with the science building. We already have that in the works, and we're already talking about having to build another elementary school in Elko. And it's probably going to be sooner than later, the way Elko's growing with all the areas that are going in up north. So I am a bit concerned, you know, that the money won't be there for those big projects that are coming up like that. So that is a real concern, thinking forward.
Yeah. I trust Casey, though.
Well, and it's Casey doesn't have any control of the pay-as-you-go vote.
No, but I mean, and that's why we need to advocate for pay-as-you-go to pass. But I also don't think Casey would steer us in a direction that was not fiscally responsible.
And pay-as-you-go is a beautiful model compared to bonds.
Yes, bonds, yeah. That's not even-
Yeah, it is. Mr. Broyles, what are your current conditions like in that band room?
We've made do, I'd say, with what we've been given, and we do the best we can with what we've got. I'm just here to be a fly on the wall. I'm not here to really speak, but the need is definitely there. The excitement's definitely there for it.
It would provide you some opportunities as well. I know with the marching band, we always used to have to practice with certain sections outside. This would allow you to go inside, especially in inclement weather, where percussion is not invading brass or...
Oh yeah, having the new and the shared space right now. I share the space with Mr. Royce teaching strings, and oftentimes we have scheduling issues of 2 classes in the same room at the same time right now in our space and things. And so having those 3 rooms in this new building that we could break off into sectionals and use all 3 of the space at the same time, it's going to be huge for us. Yeah.
Is the stage big enough to accommodate the current size of the marching band too, if you had any conflicts with scheduling out on the field, football field?
Well, we couldn't do the formations and things on the stage, obviously. That would be a massive stage. But right now, based on the design, we got to go look at it up in Boise, this design that we're going to look at, and it's a beautiful facility, and we're going to be able to do so many things on there. And having a drama room and a drama class that we can actually do at Elko High School, not having to use the convention center and things, it's going to save us a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of issues with equipment transporting back and forth between the 2 buildings. There's so many positives for it, for having that stage there.
Do you foresee, Mr. Casey, any conflicts going forward, as far as being able to fund the new school?
It all hinges on pay-as-you-go passing. I mean, even if we don't spend any more money and just collect money for the next couple of years for what we have left on pay-as-you-go, we couldn't afford a new elementary school.
And even if they said no and we needed an elementary school, then we'd have to pass it on.
Correct.
All right, any other discussion from the board? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, any opposed, nay? Chair votes nay. But it still passes, so that's good. That's all right. Item number 2.3 is discussion of possible action of a resolution designated as the 2020 Elko County School District Election Resolution.
Okay, you have a copy of this resolution. If need be, I have the number to Marty and Ryan, and we can give them a call if you have questions. We put them on live. I actually recommended that they don't travel here again, and if we need them, we'll call them. So.
That's great. All right, questions or discussion from the board?
We got an email that something here had been changed. Was it just the numbers on the NRS?
Yeah.
Is that the only thing that was changed?
Yeah, nothing was changed in the actual resolution as far as what the question would be on the ballot.
Just what statute it was?
Yep.
So we don't have to take this back to the debt management board?
No, we do not.
Okay, so the debt management board's already approved this?
Yes.
Supported, okay.
Okay, how would the board like to proceed? Or are there any other questions?
I move that we do whatever we need to do to make this happen. I expected there to be a word
So
screen.
Do we approve the resolution? How's that?
Yeah, there we go. I move that we approve the resolution.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any
Okay.
discussion?
I'm just surprised there's not more people here. I got worked over pretty good on this deal the other day. I thought there might be some opposition here. You know,
Nobody showed up at debt management either.
No.
and that was part of my argument, but I still got worked over pretty good.
Thanks for taking that, of course.
I
appreciate
it. It might not be over with.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and that resolution is approved. Item 2.4 is review and possible approval of the updated policy JHF student travel.
Okay, as promised, we brought this back so that we could, speaking of travel, streamline, I guess is a good word, or make it a little easier for our bordering schools to travel out of state or any school, because we do attend many activities in Idaho and Utah, so we put that in there as well.
Questions from the board?
Is this so Wendover and Jackpot don't have to apply for us every time they go to a...
Right. All of our schools will have
everybody
access with central office approval.
Okay.
When we first started looking at this, obviously the original intent was something completely different. However, I did have some comments that came from individuals teaching in the smaller schools, specifically from Carlin, that if you go through the number of chaperones that you need to have for some of these small schools, it has a cost problem with it, and it's difficult to meet the specific statement in the policy. And I don't know how to go about trying to fine tune that, because we're talking about a 1,200 person high school, and we're talking about 150 kids in another school, or a group that has 40 kids on a trip and 3 kids on a trip. So
you're talking about number 6 as far as...
I think so.
2 female chaperones for the girls and 2 male for the boys.
I think that was the concern that they had.
How many kids fit on the bus?
There may be
comfortably.
Well, no.
Travel bus or school bus?
Yeah.
I would say smaller schools taking the regular bus, not the travel bus. I never got to go on a travel bus, so I don't know. I know what it was like in band 20 years ago. It was rough. But I'm just thinking, I'm wondering, is it really that hard if you have one bus of boys and girls? How hard is it to find one male and one female chaperone? Because that seems to me to be the workaround. If you can't find enough, 2 female chaperones per female bus, 2 males per male bus, you combine them on one bus and have 1 male, 1 female.
I think the reality is, when we brought this up and we proposed the changes to the policy, the thing that happened was people have been doing things for years and years and years for the last 30 years, and then when we propose changing the policy, somebody starts looking down and
They read it.
this, they read it. Anyway, I'm not sure what the...
I guess I would ask, how would we change that? I mean, what would we say?
Yes.
1? I don't know if you have 60 girls going somewhere, I don't know if 1...
Yeah, 1 isn't bad.
I think
enough. It
that
depends on
the
the activity.
advisor, the advisor or the coach would obviously be taken into consideration. I've got 3 girls and 1 boy. Okay, you're going to have a female chaperone and the bus driver, maybe, or coordinate with another school. And these schools are generally traveling with the other school, so there's, whether it's skills or FFA or FCCLA. So maybe just being aware of that, they're able to work it out, but we definitely aren't addressing any of that in this policy change.
This is the first I've heard of it, so.
Yeah.
You guys could add something to number 6 that says exceptions to this shall be approved by Director of Secondary Education. Exceptions to the number of, then when they fill out a trip request and there's 6 kids on the trip, the director can say, well, you don't need
12
chaperones.
Yeah. I think, is it possible to add that in and then bring it back to us with that language?
I think that would be appropriate in a lot of things, because our schools vary so much in size. Sometimes we do need exceptions, like for Wendover to be able to walk across the state border, or, you know, a lot of the trips that we travel for different things out of state to these states that are as close as some people's, you know, other countries. So I think making some exceptions possible is a good idea.
Well, in light of like SAG, who travels with 5th and 6th graders, is that something we need to explore as well? Because they have overnight travel will not be allowed for grades K through 6 with no exceptions. But I know that group has traveled, and it is a wonderful opportunity for them.
Just put you guys in a spot where if you approve somebody, now you gotta justify why you're denying somebody else.
Yep.
And we already did deny something.
Right.
And I think in the last case, we just, you know, said, yes, go ahead on your trip, but we can't sanction it as the district.
You can blame the last one on Jeff.
All right. So, do you want to make a motion to have it brought back with additional language?
Another reading.
Yep. I move to put board item 2.04 back to staff to see if we can clarify the exceptions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay. Chair votes aye, and we will see that again. Item number 3.1 is our consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I abstain on the minutes.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Chair votes aye, and the consent agenda is approved. Item number 4.1 is a report from our NASB director.
The Gloria Palmer has submitted her letter of resignation. She's the secretary for NASB. I guess it's the second time she's done that. And the Educate Nevada Now and a group of parents have filed a lawsuit against the state of Nevada about funding education. It's in the state constitution to fund education. And the state of Nevada and the Nevada Department of Ed, I think, are named in the lawsuit. Is that right?
And state soup as well.
The state superintendent. So that's coming. Deb and the legislative chair on NASB was going to come up with some talking points. If you got press ask you questions, they were going to come up with some talking points too. Haven't got that yet. And I went to that legislative public land commission hearing in Caliente and helped present the presentation on school trust lands. It was pretty well received. The biggest pushback was from State Senator Ira Hansen, and if you guys are familiar with his political beliefs, it shocked everybody that he was the one that the pushback was from there. And there was probably more questions about funding than about the school trust lands. And Paul Johnson, the CFO from White Pine County, was one to give a presentation on school trust lands, and he was pretty good at answering their questions. I was glad he was there. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Any guidance or questions? All right. Item number 4.2 is items from board members.
I just had a couple of things. I took a tour of Adobe this last Friday. We do it with our incoming students to our initial program, and great things, fantastic things going on up there. In particular, I got a chance to spend some more time with Brant Schumacher in the STEM program that he does. A phenomenal program, and students just engaged in what they were doing there with the fans and the gliders. And I was just wondering, I was going to ask Chris if he was here, if there's any plans of upscaling that to, I know the curriculum allows for it, but to upscale that to the high school or not?
I know it was expanded at the middle school level. I don't know if it's gone up yet, but I think in Lorraine, that's our direction.
Especially with the new STEM center, I was thinking that.
It is pretty awesome.
A great program.
He does a really good job.
Oh, my God, yes.
Mr. McIntyre is working with science teachers on new curriculum and possibly new instructional materials right now, too.
Good. Excellent.
All right, anything else from board members?
I'm curious how things are going as far as gearing up for recruitment. We've been seeing some resignations, people retiring, all of that. Where are we at in the process right now?
Well,
I don't want to hear about the coronavirus.
it's making it more difficult. We're not going to send teams to Washington, to Tacoma, and whatnot. I don't think it's advisable. I don't know that in the history of recruiting we've signed any kind of a plethora of people out of Washington anyway. But other than that, we're just in a monitoring situation now with other fairs. Actually, the Washington Fair has proactively reached out to registered participants, find out what the interest is in people coming, which probably is an indication that they're going to cancel it anyway. I haven't went much further, but
Have we started to advertise any job openings on the district site?
4 pages of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Including the National Guard School.
Yes.
Well, we had some success in at Black Hill State. Got at least one offer out there. Candidates from that job fair are interested, pretty good degree of interest. We have teams headed to Wyoming here in the next week or two over to Laramie. And plug along.
And I have an update on our superintendent search from Deb Oliver, and she would like the board to look at some dates to do a training on preparing for interview questions, Tuesday the 31st. We talked about kind of trying to block off some Tuesdays, either 5 or 5:30, a 2-hour window on that day. So if everybody can get back to Cassie on that date. If that will work, that was, because that is also our closing date for the superintendent search. She wanted to let everyone know that we have had a good group of qualified candidates, and she is making initial screening calls, because some people have submitted some information, but not all the information, so she wants to find out the seriousness of everyone who has applied. And so she has started those screening calls the beginning of this week and into next week. She'll make those. And then she wanted you to look at some other dates as well. Once she has gone through and all of the candidates that are qualified, serious candidates, she would like to do Zoom interviews and looking at those. So those are online interviews that we're going to do. The dates for those would be, the first round would be the 14th, roughly the 14th to the 16th of April. And if we need a second round of those, the 21st and the 22nd of April. And then possibly bringing people in for interviews May 4th through 6th and May 12th through 14th. So those are just some dates. Okay, so yep. Bringing people in physically here for interviews May 4th through 6th, and May 12th through 14th. So does anybody need a clarification on those dates? If you can just get back to Cassie and let her know if those dates will work. Those were the ones that Deb threw out, and she'd like to get, once we close the job, she would like to be able to tell those candidates this is when you can expect to hear from us, and look for an interview time so that they can make themselves available for those interviews.
Would the Zoom interviews be with all the board members?
that is a point of discussion we still need to have, whether we will just do, whether we would need to agendize it and make it a meeting so that we aren't violating any laws, or whether we would just like to take a couple of board members and have them participate in those. Regardless of that, once she goes through this initial screening, she will make a file where everyone can see all of the resumes, applications, and everything like that. And she just reminded me to remember that information once it's available is confidential. And you know, she says the board needs to see that so that we can look at who we want to do those interviews with, but to remember if we have internal candidates or candidates from another district or wherever, regardless, all that information is confidential, so just to bear that in mind. Any questions? It sounds like we're moving forward, and Deb's pretty on fire with helping us get a new superintendent. Because Mr. Pearson hasn't taken away his letter of resignation yet, so. Retirement. Retirement, yeah, not resignation, retirement.
And Cassie, with all those, can you send out like a doodle poll so that we can plug in which times and days we're available? See if we line up anywhere.
So that's the update there. Anything else from any board members?
With the budget season coming up, we need a workshop to go over that and kind of line it up with the budget that we're going to have to deal with in the future to see if we need to start planning even hiring. Teachers might have an impact on that.
The challenge with, because we are probably going to be changing, is we're going from the Nevada plan, but essentially we're lining it up with this new blueprint, which
Nobody knows that much about it.
We don't know much about it.
Yeah.
And Jerry can probably interject at any time. I guess I don't know what to do right now, or what to give you, so that we're not giving you information, then all of a sudden we get to May or June and it's changed. So in April, remember, the funding commission will be here in this room, and we should know a little bit more, and I'll communicate that with you. And as board members, you would be welcome to publicly comment to that commission. And remember, they don't make up the rules, they just make recommendations.
And what's the date on that meeting?
April 17th. It's a Friday, and it's like 8 to 1, but I'll get you the actual times.
Okay.
So
the 18th?
17th of April, Friday morning.
All right.
They just had one of those meetings. I sent an email to you guys.
Yes.
That Jessica took notes on it. That's what I forwarded on to you guys.
Any other items from board members? Okay, we'll move on to item 5.1, our superintendent's report.
All right, we got a construction update. I'd also like to, just to remind you, you'll probably be getting something as far as our coronavirus and travel. It's kind of a day-to-day process. Bobby Shanks is communicating with CDC and the state health officials and our county people as well every day to keep us in the loop. And as of right now, we don't know of a case. That could change, in 10 minutes, but we'll keep you aware of that. I know there's some trips coming up that we might have to have some discussions about. Good times.
Be Santa Claus, huh?
All right, any questions for Mr. Pearson? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 6.1, approval of the accounts payable.
I move to approve the accounts payable. Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I had a question. Looking at Nevada Reads, that was a grant. Nevada Reads is a grant, correct?
Read by third.
Yeah. It's been listed as RB3. read by 3, so we're in a transition between grades.
State now calls it Nevada Kids Reading.
Okay,
so.
okay. Very good.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, I will be disclosing that I have a family member on the accounts payable. Well, a family member that works for someone on the accounts payable, so I will also be abstaining. Okay, all in favor of approving the accounts payable, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, sounds like the accounts payable are approved. Item number 7 is a final opportunity for comment from the public. Well, thank you for coming, we appreciate it. We'll move on to item 8.1, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, chair votes aye, and we are adjourned. Thank you again for joining us.